So, George, Catherine Bigelow is out with a new film called House of Dynamite. Is it straight to Netflix? Did it get a theatrical run?
It got a minor theatrical run, and it's her first film in, I think, 8 years.
Yeah, because it was Detroit, which I really liked. I really liked Detroit, and it's kind of a great recommendation, actually, because I think it missed a lot of people at the time. And yeah, I remember I got the chance to speak to Will Poulter about it, and I was talking about like the difference in light and dark in his career. And the nice was, you've got like really comedic roles, fun stuff, MC, but also you've done like nasty things like Revenant, Detroit. I was like, I love Detroit, and he was really into me liking Detroit. It's a really great movie. I think if you haven't seen, you should go and check out. And very Catherine Bigelow, almost like plays out in real time, true life story, politics, war adjacent. But this is House of Dynamite, which I'll say again for the third time. Not a true story, but set in the real world, in real time, in three different.
True story.
I know. You'd watch it. It's incredibly
but a plausible scenario.
A plausible set in our real world in the modern day. We are the whole film is set in the offices and sort of centers where all of the nuclear arms defense security systems of the United States are. I think there were 3 or 4 different places where this film was set. And this film essentially opens with an intercontinental ballistic missile is picked up having launched somewhere over
the Pacific?
The Pacific, it's hard to tell. And they very quickly realize that they don't know who's launched it. It will impact somewhere in the Chicago region of the United States within 18 minutes. And what plays out in 3 different variants is the different perspective of all the different people and the conversations that are going to be had with the different teams about how they figure out where it's going to hit, who did it, the conversations they have with the other nations who might be implicated, and what are the decisions that go into how you act in those 18 minutes. And then just before, you think you're going to find out exactly what happens, it rewinds back the clock, kind of like Vantage Point,
a bit of
in a way.
Point thing.
And we get it from different perspectives, and characters you see maybe on a video call, or someone who passes by is given their time. So it's like the second version you see is from mostly the perspective of the Secretary of Defense, and then the third perspective is from the President of the United States. You've got Rebecca Ferguson starring Anthony Rabos, Idris Elba, Greta Lee, Gabriel Basso, Jared Harris in there, Tracy Lett.
Yes.
Lots of a real
Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke.
Lots of good actors in this.
It's a Jason Clarke role. I would have cast Jason Clarke if you hadn't asked me. I would have just gone, who should play this type of role? And just nice moments where it's like, the armed CIA military personnel come in. It's like, I need to take you to this bunker. It's like, I'm not asking you. I've been told to physically escort you type moments. Lots of intensity, lots of sort of like tired, fatigued, coffee-fueled screen monitor, watching the thing beep along. House of Dynamite, George, how did you get on with it?
Broadly speaking, I quite liked it. I think it's solid. I think it's gripping. And I think that it does make you feel queasy with this scenario, because it is palpable, it is real. And as the clock ticks down, you do feel like, oh shit, what can you do and what would you do in this scenario? Well, my friend has a genre of films that he always loves, which is people having stand-up meetings in rooms, shouting at each other, and also people leaning over screens concerned. And this movie has both of those things.
It is a prime time.
People taking off their glasses and going, wait a second.
Oh my God.
And it delivers those juicy moments. I think that there's a strange thing happening where like it's told in a very sort of realistic, grounded way. But you do also have the odd moment of quite hammy dialogue. You have a moment where Tracy Letts, who's this quite gung-ho general who says to the president at one point, the president says, "That's insanity." And he goes, "No, sir. It's reality."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
it's a bit Roland Emmerich.
We're doing that. Yeah, it is. It's like Roland Emmerich kind of makes the Catherine Bigelow. I think like I said, broadly speaking, I was really kind of hooked and tense, particularly for that first half an hour.
Me too.
And then when it does the repeat and cuts back twice, that's fine. I don't necessarily think that we ever learn anything more in cutting it back, other than the interesting to see it from a different perspective. It's not like Vantage Point where you learn some bit of new information. No. I think the data is basically already set in the first half an hour. You're just learning and observing how different people react. But that's okay. It is high stakes. It's high drama, and I sat at home on Netflix watching it with a bit of a snack, and I was like, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
Here I go. I think the ending will divide people. I think the ending, and I'm obviously not going to talk about it in any spoiler detail. It makes a certain decision with the ending that I found underwhelming, but I also am trying to think about what Catherine Bigelow was going for in that kind of ending and what the sort of implicit understanding is. And I kind of get what she's doing without talking about it in spoiler terms. But I think if you're looking for a film to watch on Netflix, it's what, under 2 hours, I think? It's maybe an hour 50. It's a really perfectly solid watch, and I'm happy to have Catherine Bigelow back.
I agree. I also enjoyed it, but my main takeaway was if you go in, I think, with wrong expectations, you're going to also maybe be a bit disappointed. This isn't a disaster movie. This isn't even a war movie, I'd say. It's like about what could be a war, but it's not that kind of, it's not an action film.
No.
So I think if you go in wanting a big payoff or a big spectacle of like a missile going off, or you want to see that, you're going to be disappointed because that's not what this film is. I did find it incredibly sobering and very thought-provoking. And yeah, you do watch it and sort of go, this is the world we live in. And, you know, you can look at, it's 100% a political movie, you know, if you want to just look at stuff going on in the world. And there's this sort of moment when they're sort of evaluating the strength of their defense systems, and it's like, oh my god, $50 billion, and it's a fucking coin toss. And these moments where like even though you might think these defense systems are capable, it really is just a case of like hoping and praying. And I did enjoy the tension there. I agree with you. I think these split perspective structures inherently imply that there's some sort of added mystery or other element that is going to kick in. It's like, it was this the whole time. There's a real sort of Mr. Red Herring with this character who's weirdly, it's Dean Neistat, who's Casey Neistat's brother, who's the guy who was like working on the television, who dropped something, who had these knowing looks in the first perspective. And I was like, that's an interesting look. Are we going to come back to that guy?
Oh, really?
Never saw him again for some reason.
I thought he was just to represent a guy who's not really meant to be in that room. He's just fixing the TV.
Yeah, I wondered if maybe like something was going to happen, because when you then switch back, I'm like, oh, maybe that weird moment will be given more time to think. So yeah, you could be disappointed, but
so
like,
can I mention another red herring as well? Sorry, is that like for the whole film, the president is on this giant video call, but his video camera's off.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, why is his video camera off? And I don't think it's a spoiler to say, but when we finally get the president's perspective, it's just because he's just doing the call. He's just doing it. He doesn't have a video camera.
No, didn't want to put video on.
He just has a satellite phone.
Like most people working from home. He just
doesn't want to put video on. I was like, I thought we were going to be revealing something.
Is he in bed just like with a tea in his dressing gown?
Yeah.
I know that is a real thing. Like, why is POTUS not showing his face?
Anyway, sorry.
No, that's totally it. So yeah, I think you could. I think maybe I'm not as high on it as I thought I would be. I think I watched the trailer with you and I was like, oh, this looks great. Catherine Bigelow, good cast. But yeah, it's very sobering. Would I recommend it? I'm like, sure. It's not like a fun watch, but I think if you already are concerned about the state of the world, this isn't going to help.
No, it's a quick 2 hours. I think with the time structure and the tension, I think it went by quite quickly for me. Do you agree with my thing about the ending? How I feel? Do you feel the same way?
It all mixed. But I liked the ending actually because it didn't reveal anything new. It gave me everything I needed to think to be thinking deeply about the issue, and it scared me. It's kind of like a horror film, in a lot of ways.
It's a disaster movie, but in a way it's a pre-disaster movie. You're watching people in a way like watch an asteroid slowly hurtle towards it, a bit like Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
And you're having all these conversations.
I actually quite liked the political sort of bit where someone from the US calls the Russians.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil it, but they have this real like standoff tete-a-tete of like, what are you going to do? Well, that all depends on what you do. Do you speak for your country? Can you guarantee this? Well, because if we don't, we're going to do this. And I thought it's like, that's a really interesting like sphere of international diplomacy that is... I guess, of course, this is dramatized, but I think it's so fascinating of like, we can't trust you and you can't trust us. I will say something and I hope you say something. So that is like a political drama I really enjoyed.
Yeah, despite all the bluster, it ultimately comes down to two men in a room over the phone, just trying to trust
maybe
each
underqualified, like representing the safety of their entire country.
Yeah, and I think when you said about like the how it ends up being you kind of relying on a wing and a prayer, I think there's almost a message to the film which is like, it's not about where this thing is going. It's kind of almost about a moot point, which is that the fact that we ended up in this situation anyway it's already too late.
It's too late. It's the
already-
final 1,000-yard stare from Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
It's just moving. Like it's like Oppenheimer is watching this movie 60 years later, being like, motherfuckers, why did you do
know
this?
what? Also, I think in a year when we had Mission Impossible 8 really be about the threat of nuclear, when like kind of do that kind of half-assed. I was like, I'm glad we're actually getting a thriller, which is people staring at screens going, wait, that can't be right. Read that again.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say, because I have talked about this on the show before, is that I personally, after about 2 minutes of watching this, I made the decision to watch this with subtitles on.
I watched it with subtitles too.
Because the language is very dense and very technical, and I'm very glad I did, because there are certain things they use, certain acronyms and anything that you would not have picked up on if you didn't use subtitles.
I watched it with subtitles. Talked about this before. I set my subtitles to the smallest possible size because it's like I don't need to look at them. But as when I do, good to know. And I'm doing that subtly. Fantastic way to watch a detail-oriented film.
Yes, yeah. So I would just recommend that. As some people, I think if I'd seen it in the cinema without that, I might have become a little bit unanchored, a little bit adrift. Yeah. But just because of the lingo. But that is,
If you've seen House of Dynamite and now can no longer sleep, by all means, send in your thoughts to hello@popkitchenpodcast.com. We will read them out on a future episode of the show.
Cue Oppenheimer music.
I think we already did. Yeah.
That's Stranger Things, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry. It's on your mind. How about that Lily Allen album, hey?
Hey, wow.
Oh.
If it was a movie, we'd review it, but
We'll talk about it on Double Take, I guess. By the way, produced by, and I think co-written by someone called Noah Oppenheim, which is quite ironic to know that like it's just an Oppenheimer away.
What a really, also like Noah is such a biblical, portentous name. Oh my God.
I saw that a couple of times. I was like, Oppenheim.
Okay, let's